From the Pontiac Silverdome, welcome to the Michigan High School Athletic Association State Football Championships. Class AA title is on the line as the Shamrocks of Redford Catholic Central take on the Crusaders from Detroit Martin Luther King. I'm Mark Crawford. Next to me, as always, the old coach Bill Brandell. And Bill, the premier showdown, I guess you'd say, Class AA, the biggest high school football class in Michigan. And what a great matchup, the offense of Martin Luther King against the great defensive club, Catholic Central.
Well, it really is a classic matchup as the Crusader offense has gotten all the publicity so far this year. They are just putting points on the board, something fierce. They average 32 points a ball game. On the other side of the field, the Catholic Central defense, they pride themselves in a team concept. They give up just 6 points a game. On the other side of the coin, both teams, the Catholic Central squad, Mark, is no slouch offensively, and of course the Crusaders no slouch defensively. So it's just going to be a great matchup. As you said, we've got the two largest or the largest schools in the state of Michigan, AA, and they also bring to us the biggest players on the field. We just have a ton of big-sized football players.
Yeah, bundle of big-time players. In fact, I went up and down my roster just before we started here. 40 players suited up today for this football game who weigh in at 200 pounds or more. And then you have one added dimension to this ball game, Bill, and that is you have the public school champ in Detroit against the Catholic League champ.
Well, and that's a first and kind of a neat situation. The public school league in the city of Detroit has never had a state champion. And we have the Crusaders of Martin Luther King in the state championship game for the second time. So they're looking to finally bring a public school league school to a championship. Kind of a neat situation.
King in the white uniforms trimmed in gold and black will boot it away. Catholic Central in the blue uniforms trimmed in white. Gregory Scott, the man who will kick off for Detroit Martin Luther King. And we are underway. A little squib kick. Fielded at about the 25-yard line. And the Catholic Central return perhaps a yard for number 22, Brett Walter. They'll mark it out at about the 27-yard line, so it'll be 1st and 10 for the Shamrocks of Catholic Central right there. Your quarterback will be number 15, Jason Carr, 6'1", 190 pounds and a senior, the son of University of Michigan coach Lloyd Carr. And in the backfield, the trips backfield right now, the guy who does most of the heavy work, John Barbara, number 11. First down, right side, a hole for Arshawn Stewart. And he's out across the 30 and near the 33-yard line. Gain of 6 on first down for Arshawn Stewart. It'll be 2nd down 4 for Catholic Central.
The Crusaders defensively will put up an odd man front, 5 men, then a couple of linebackers, and then 4 defensive backs. They've given up just 79 points so far this year, just 6 points a ball game, and they are tough defensively. So this run really a physical matchup.
Off the wing offense, same running back, Arshawn Stewart has the first down for Catholic Central. The initial first down of this football game. We are just underway from the Pontiac Silverdome. Detroit Catholic Central and Detroit Martin Luther King for the Class AA State Championship. It is 1st and 10 for Catholic Central. Mark the football right at their own 40-yard line.
Well, up front for the Shamrocks of Catholic Central, the offensive line, they average out at 6'1", 215 pounds. Across from them, defensively, the Crusaders of Martin Luther King, they average 6'1", 205. So we're kind of even up when Catholic Central has the ball offensively and King is on the field defensively. Pretty much head up, man-to-man across the front wall.
Eric Wilklent is the center. Number 56 leads them up. This will be Stewart again right side. He's got 4 or 5 yards out to the 45 where it'll be 2nd and 5. Catholic Central comes in at 10 and 2 on their season. Losses to this same Detroit Martin Luther King team and to DePorres. Detroit Martin Luther King is unbeaten. They are 12 and 0. And as mentioned, it's the Public School League champions from King against the Catholic League champs from CC. Also should mention that CC's 2 losses to King and DePorres, they've already avenged the loss to DePorres. They have their chance now to avenge that loss to King. Right side, Arshawn Stewart getting plenty of work, is near the midfield stripe and near the first down sticks.
Well, Arshawn Stewart making a habit of coming this way, Mark. They are just pounding their offensive right side, and they have picked up some pretty good yardage against the Crusaders so far. We'll look for a defensive adjustment before too long here as Catholic Central moving the ball 4 or 5 yards a crack.
4 carries, 22 yards for Arshawn Stewart. Then 2 plays and a first down. And 2 plays and a first down. This time they tried a little counter run. And there is no room at all for Catholic Central's number 84, Frank Yoakum. Aim from the end or wing slot. No gain. It'll be 2nd down and 10. Nose of the football is resting right on the 50-yard line. That tight double end, tight end formation again for CC. This is Arshawn Stewart again, right side, and good strong run for 3 or 4 yards. Looked like King might have pinned him in the backfield initially as Jason Phillips, number 54, was chasing him around.
Well, Jason Phillips is a linebacker. He had positioned himself outside a little bit on this particular running play, kind of suspecting Arshawn Stewart coming to the offensive right side once again. Makes good penetration. Couldn't quite make the stop, but did mess up the play and forced Arshawn Stewart to turn back inside a little sooner than he wanted to.
These 2 teams met in week 3 of the high school football season. King won that ball game 20-7. But Catholic Central was ahead 7-6 with just 5 minutes to play. Quick pitch, Arshawn Stewart trying to turn the corner, stuck and driven back. Big play defensively by Gerald McBurrows, number 28. Gain of maybe a yard. It'll be 4th down.
Well, this is a great defensive play. Gerald Williams will take on a couple of blockers over here. It looks as though there's a lot of blue shirts and a lot of blockers out in front of the ball carrier, but McBurrows just simply does a great job going through the blocker and making the tackle.
Punt is fielded by Clarence Thompson back at about his own 10-yard line. Return is out near the 20. And Detroit King will take over on their first possession offensively now. They'll start 1st and 10 at their own 19-yard line. Dwight Brown, number 17, is the quarterback. 6 foot, 175-pound senior. Very strong runner. And the key in the backfield behind him, Edward Davis, 5'9", 190 pounds, and a senior, averaging better than 200 yards a game. There is Edward Davis. Forward for a couple of yards across the 20 near the 21-yard line. 2 yards on the carry for Ed Davis. It'll be 2nd down and 8. Detroit Martin Luther King runs behind an offensive line that averages 6'3", 245 pounds.
Well, here is the size difference. We matched you up with the 2 teams offensively the other way. When Martin Luther King has the ball, as you said, Mark, 242 across the front. Defensively for Catholic Central, 6 foot, 215.
Slippery Edward Davis is forward for about 5 yards out across the 25-yard line. Good cuts here, Bill, as Edward Davis avoids the tacklers.
Well, Edward Davis follows his blockers up in the middle, but then does some nifty running on his own. Gives you that loose, limp leg, able to drive ahead. Once again, one of those ball players with that positive forward body lean. Always picks up the extra yard or 2.
3rd down 3 for Detroit Martin Luther King. Their first possession of this football game. Option right, keeper by quarterback Brown, 1st down. Late flag tossed into the pile. Let's wait and see. It was thrown at the feet of Javon Lenhart over there, who was trying to throw a block.
Well, the Catholic Central defense likes it, so obviously it's going to be some kind of a hold or an illegal block against the King offensive line people up there.
It's a clip, and there's a good look at Ed Folsom, our referee out of Charlotte. Ed Folsom, David Garrison, James Helgamo, John Breslin, and Roger Small, the crew. Most of them from around the Lansing-Jackson area. And Ed Folsom, our referee, Bill, was my track coach in junior high.
Well, we have seen a few of these people from this crew a couple of times. Once again, an excellent crew as we get the cream of the crop once again in all of these state final championship games.
We'll wipe out the first down, march some yardage off against Detroit King. They'll try third down again, but this time it'll be 3rd and 13. 7 minutes still to play first quarter. King and Catholic Central scoreless. Class AA state championship game. Dwight Brown, the quarterback. Bootlegs wants to throw, is chased out of the pocket. Has the first down, taken out of bounds across the 30 near the 31-yard line, and that should be good for the first down.
Oh, Dwight Brown with some excellent field vision now. Watch as he looks downfield, heads then for the outside, gets to the outside, got good speed, got around the corner.
Dwight Brown has thrown for about 800 yards and has run for another 500 or 600 yards. Very slippery quarterback. 1st and 10 for Detroit King. Single setback behind Dwight Brown now. 3 wide receivers. Dive play to Larry Davenport, the 210-pound fullback, and the Catholic Central defense is there to meet him. They'll drive him down for no gain. It'll be 2nd down and still 10.
Well, I see Jeff Rees in there defensively, but this Catholic Central defense prides themselves on team defense. Obviously, they have some leaders in there. In fact, they have 3 all-Catholic performers, Brian Cheney, Jeff Rees, and Mike Thomas. But the whole defense plays as a unit, and they pride themselves in that particular type of a defense.
2nd down long facing King. Right side Davis. Slips a tackle at the line of scrimmage, fumbles the football, but the officials say it's down. They'll mark the football down at the 39-yard line, a gain of 8, and it'll be 3rd and short.
Well, the quickness of Edward Davis, once again, as he pops through his offensive line, he's one of those floating type runners. Mark doesn't appear to be going that fast, but extremely smooth.
Playoff history. King making their 3rd appearance in the MHSAA playoffs. 3 straight years, in fact. Overall, they are 6 wins and 2 defeats in the playoffs. Reached the finals last year and again this year. Catholic Central, their 5th time in the playoffs. 4 times they've been to the finals. They won 1 title back in 1979. Give is to Davenport, and he is stormed under behind the line of scrimmage. It'll be 4th down.
Well, here we go with the running play. Watch the defensive penetration. That's the key. You'll see 3 blue jerseys right in the middle there. Al Babrich from his linebacker position making great penetration, putting the final stop down.
Punt formation now for King. Gregory Scott almost has it blocked. Good high kick. And 2 of the Catholic Central players kind of fight for the football. In the end, they field it, lose perhaps a yard, and it'll be 1st and 10 for CC. They'll start at their own 33-yard line. One of the things you notice defensively about both of these teams, Bill, is it's not just the down linemen who go 200-plus pounds. The linebackers are all 210, 215.
Well, they are extremely good size. You and I looked at the defensive backs are going 175. So if you put the whole defense out there, they're going to average close to 200 pounds and right around 6 foot a man. So just some really great athletes out here.
Arshawn Stewart, who's been a busy young man, takes it left side. Might have reached the line of scrimmage before all of the white jerseys catch up with him. I'm not sure who was first to get him. I saw Kenyon Harper, 62. Don Spencer, number 55, was there as well. It's going to be 2nd down and 10.
Well, Don Spencer and Jason Phillips, the linebacker, they were the standout defensive players for King in their semifinal game. Did a great job, and they're picking up right where they left off.
Back to throw is Jason Carr. Good protection. Finally has to find his way out of the pocket, and he's dragged down after a couple-yard gain. Good play defensively by Gerald McBurrows again, number 28. The outside linebacker. It'll be 3rd down and long.
Well, Jason Carr back in a drop-back pass situation. Can't find anybody open. Finally decides he's going to have to run the ball. Breaks contain, gets to the outside pretty well. But the King defense recovers in time, stops him for about a 4-yard gain.
Gerald McBurrows had help that time from Charles Wade, number 66. It'll be 3rd down, long 6, facing Catholic Central. We have played just over 9 minutes of quarter number 1 here from the Silverdome in the Class AA state championship game. Single setback, option right for Carr, makes the pitch to Barbara, and he's forward for 4 or 5 yards, going to be very near the first down sticks.
Well, John Barbara is usually the guy that runs the ball up inside. He's that 3 and 4 yards gain type runner. He's an all-Catholic offensive back, but generally known for pounding it inside. This time he's the pitch man on the option play, takes it outside, picks up the first down.
First carry in this football game for John Barbara, 6'2", 215-pound senior. He was a linebacker last year. They switched him to fullback this year, and they say that he delivers the kind of message offensively that they'd like to deliver, as he simply punishes folks who try to tackle him. 1st and 10, Catholic Central from their own 45. Arshawn Stewart again, and boy, things have gotten tough for Arshawn Stewart. Javon Lenhart and Charles Wade are going to meet at Arshawn Stewart.
Well, once again, watch the defensive penetration as the Crusaders just shred the offensive line. Javon Lenhart, Don Spencer, boy, they meet at the ball carrier. Great defense.
8 carries for Arshawn Stewart. On the first 4 carries, he gained 22 yards. On the 4 since then, he's gained 1. 2nd down, 13, facing Catholic Central. Very fast first quarter. Carr will throw. As a man open downfield, complete. All the way down to the 35-yard line with the football goes Frank Yoakum, the junior. 1st and 10 CC.
Well, a great connection here with Jason Carr finding an open receiver. Downfield is Frank Yoakum. And Yoakum really in great position, broke away from the defensive back. Nobody within 3 or 4 yards of him. He's able to bring the ball in, picks up a nice big gain for the Shamrocks.
1st and 10 for CC. Jason Carr to Arshawn Stewart again, who spins forward and gets maybe a yard just inside the 35-yard line.
On the stop that time, Gerald McBurrows once again. McBurrows, I have listed as a strong safety defensive back. He's been in the offensive backfield about 3 or 4 times already in this ball game.
He's had a very good first quarter. Going to be 2nd down and still about 10. Tom Mack is the head football coach at Catholic Central. Jim Reynolds Jr. at Detroit King. 2 veterans, both with better than 100 victories and 15 and 17 years respectively at their schools. Flags fly, as I think John Barbara there actually jumped early, was smart enough to begin some motion to the outside, which meant he wasn't doing something illegal, but at that point the play was messed up.
Well, the Crusaders jump off sides with all of that action, jump into the neutral zone, but you're right, the offensive back for Catholic Central is allowed to move, and he just simply moved too quick and then turned it into a motion play, but that drew the Crusaders offside, and they'll get marked off for 5 yards.
5 free yards for Catholic Central, so make it 2nd down and about 5 facing CC. There's a look at some of the King supporters. A lot of those hats on the King sideline. Arshawn Stewart, boy, nice run, dances his way inside the 25, 1st down. Like a pinball, Bill, bouncing off tacklers.
Arshawn Stewart just runs through a tackle by Clarence Thompson and is able to bounce off Thompson and pick up good yardage with a spin move, picks up the first down.
Mark the football down at the 24 of Detroit Martin Luther King. It'll be 1st and 10 for Catholic Central. Arshawn Stewart now 10 carries in this football game already. Very tight T formation behind Jason Carr. Arshawn Stewart again. Line of scrimmage, and that's it. Looked like Corey McCullough, number 57, who was the first to grab hold. And it'll be 2nd down and 10.
Well, once again, Arshawn Stewart, the workhorse today. He's the guy with the big yardage as far as the Catholic Central offense is concerned. But John Barbara, the power man, he's the guy they give it to. They like to punish people up inside with Barbara, then give it to Stewart outside. Stewart's really not going outside right now. He's doing some punishing of his own, Mark.
Arshawn Stewart, 11 carries, 30 yards, and the first quarter is history here at the Dome. 0-0, CC and King. A very rapid first quarter of play, took about 20 minutes. Scoreless tie, King and Catholic Central. CC has the football, 2nd down and 10 at the 24 of Martin Luther King. Jason Carr back to throw. Pressure's coming. Throws it away. Looking around for a flag. We won't get one. Boy, 3 or 4 Detroit King players were chasing Jason Carr. I saw Gerald McBurrows, number 28, hanging around out there again. Javon Lenhart was there, 22. But Jason Carr does the smart thing, fires it away, and close enough to a receiver that he's not called for intentional grounding. It's 3rd and 10.
Well, once again, Frank Yoakum was out there in the general area, maybe about 15 yards from the ball when it hit the turf. But the officials electing to say that within the grass, that's close enough as far as trying to get the ball to a receiver. No flag.
3rd down 10, big play. Catholic Central, Arshawn Stewart, good run inside the 20 and down to the 18-yard line. Gain of 6, moves it to the middle of the field, and let's see if CC on 4th down will be looking for a field goal.
Well, Arshawn Stewart right up the middle, then cuts to the inside. Jason Phillips finally with the stop, but not until Arshawn Stewart had twisted forward and picked up some good yardage. 4th down, key play.
Will be a 35-yard field goal try for Kerry Zavignin. Got trouble on the line. The CC players say it's going to be on King. If it is, that'll be a free 1st down. And it is. So the Shamrocks won't have to try the field goal yet. The 5 yards takes the football down inside the 13 near the 12-yard line of King. It'll be 1st and 10 Catholic Central.
Well, the CC linemen, offensive linemen, were in an up position, and on a signal from the quarterback went to a down position, which they don't usually do, and that drew the King defenders across and into the neutral zone, picked up the 5 yards, and that was enough for the 1st down. Catholic Central in great field position now.
Jason Carr to Arshawn Stewart again, finds a little seam inside the 10 and down near the 5. Great run by Arshawn Stewart. Just a little hole there, and Stewart found it.
Well, Arshawn Stewart once again finds that little seam, just as you described. Defensive back Ralph Gaines is the one that finally gets a hold of an ankle and is able to bring him down. But Arshawn Stewart got the ball all the way down now.
2nd down 4 from the 6-yard line. Arshawn Stewart, boy, he is drilled. Number 54, Jason Phillips.
Oh, do I like Jason Phillips. There he comes from a linebacker's position. Watch Arshawn Stewart now. This is called instant backwards. Boom! Right there. Oh, I love it.
Loss of 1 for Arshawn Stewart on the carry. It'll be 3rd down and 5 now for Catholic Central. Football at the 7. Clock continues to roll, showing 10:25 still to play 1st half. Carr with the trips formation behind him, gives to his 1st back. All the way down near the 1-yard line is the mark. It's John Barbara, the big 215-pound senior, and that should be good for a first down.
Well, this is the guy they count on when they get down into crunch time. Catholic Central calls on John Barbara to just pound those big yardage right in the middle. Mark, he's the kind of back that doesn't try to run around people. In fact, he picks them out and tries to run over them.
You're right. Lowers the head, goes straight ahead. Smash mouth football player John Barbara. First and goal from the 2 for Catholic Central. Barbara hit, fights forward, touchdown! 2 yards for John Barbara, and Catholic Central strikes first 6-0.
Well, John Barbara, with one of his typical style runs, comes from his fullback position, gets up ahead of steam in a hurry, takes on a defender and just plows through him, slides over to the side, and the Shamrocks put the first points on the board.
Extra point attempt is coming up. I'd be interested to see the replay. I thought they had Barbara stopped.
Well, it looked like it, but he's one of those guys that's built low to the ground. Great power in his legs, leg drive. Let's take a look at it now. John Barbara will take the ball at about the 4-yard line, and he'll be met by a defender. In fact, a couple of defenders. You can see the power surge as Barbara able to just kind of dive through the potential tackler and get into the end zone for the 6 points. Boy, a great second effort by John Barbara. 6'2", 215 pounds of senior. What a pile-driving runner.
Stewart, 14 carries in this football game already.
Well, I think unofficially I have that drive marked 14 plays. Finally for the touchdown, started at the 33-yard line of the Shamrocks. So a 67-yard drive, 14 plays. Nice bit of offensive work.
Kickoff into the end zone will come out to the 20-yard line. Automatic touchback in high school football. You can't run them out from the end zone. So it'll be 1st and 10 for the Crusaders of Detroit King at their own 20, and they'll try and get that high-powered offense in gear. Well, that drive was just classic Catholic Central football. They want to control the ball, take a lot of time off the clock. They don't score a lot of points, but defensively they don't give up much.
Well, exactly what we described in our opening segment of this ball game. The King offense very potent, but they're not very potent when they're on the bench.
Edward Davis has 11 on the first down carry. They'll mark the football just across the 30, which should be 1st and 10 for Detroit King. Well, Mark, and that's a good point, Bill. If you can keep the King offense off the field, well, you got a good chance of winning this game.
In that first quarter, the King offense ran just 7 plays, and one of those was a punt.
Dwight Brown, the quarterback, gives to the dive back. I think Larry Davenport on the carry. And he's forward for about 2 yards. It'll be 2nd down and 8.
Well, we've talked about the team concept of that Catholic Central defense. Up front, Rob Sylvester, Dan Gussoff, Gary Gergold. Those are the 3 guys in the middle, the 2 tackles and the nose man. Defensive end, Dave Dominic, Brian Cheney at the other end. Just a real strong unit. And of course, their linebackers very active.
Edward Davis bouncing off tacklers, has the first down across the 40 and out to the 44. Gain of 13 on the carry for Edward Davis. 1st and 10 King.
Well, John Brand from his defensive back spot will finally make the stop on Edward Davis, but Edward Davis just pounds up into the middle there. Once again, not just quick and shifty as a runner, but with some great power as he eludes a couple of tackles and then just runs over the final defender.
Little power I formation this time, and it's Larry Davenport again, the fullback, has 3 or 4 yards, approaches midfield with the football, where it'll be 2nd down and long for Detroit King. Edward Davis for King, 2,619 yards rushing this season, 10 yards a carry. Scored 21 touchdowns. Most everybody talks about Tyrone Wheatley from Robichaud being the best running back in the state, but I don't know. The road to being the best running back in the state might go through King and Edward Davis. Flags fly.
And the Crusaders missed snap count there. We're going to have some offensive linemen leaving a little bit too soon for the Crusaders. They'll be marched back 5 yards.
Well, Herbert Gibson, number 74, will be whistled for that one, but it gives us a chance to talk some positive things about Herbert Gibson. This guy is a major college football player, 6'7", 270 pounds, and they tell us he is just simply a devastating blocker. Herbert Gibson, the senior right tackle for King.
Well,
Second down 12.
I might even make some yards up behind him.
I think you would. Dwight Brown wants to throw, chased around and sacked. Number 75, Gary Gergold, the 6'1", 220-pound senior defensive tackle.
Also, Dave Dominic in there. Watch the defensive tackle. Number 75, that's Gary Gergold. He'll just dive out, reach out. No, it's not Gergold. It is Dave Dominic, the one that trips up quarterback Dwight Brown. Both of those defenders in there defensively with some great penetration.
It'll be third down and about 20 facing the Crusaders. They are on the short end of a 7-0 score. Davenport and Davis line up in the I formation behind quarterback Dwight Brown. Brown can throw the ball. 800 yards and 13 touchdowns this year. Pressure coming. Drilled from behind. On the blitz, Dave Dominic, number 33.
Well, Dave Dominic comes from a defensive end here, and Dwight Brown never sees him. You'll see a great shot here, just the way you teach your defense to hit the quarterback. Try to knock the ball loose, but Dwight Brown hangs onto it. But the Crusaders forced to punt.
Gregory Scott will boot it away. Kind of a low liner fielded at the 40-yard line. Frank Yoakum on the loose. Yoakum down the sideline. 20, 15, 10, 5, and it's a touchdown. Catholic Central. 59 yards on the punt return. 13-0 Shamrocks.
Well, Frank Yoakum does a great job. Stands back, waits for this punt. It's kind of a floating punt. It's kind of tantalizing. You'd like to get the ball quicker than that. But once Frank Yoakum takes the ball in, heads down the near sideline right in front of us and right in front of his teammates, picks up a couple of excellent blocks and just takes it all the way on into the end zone.
Carries Avignon. Sends the extra point through the uprights, and CC stretches the lead to 14-0.
Well, let's take another look at Yoakum as he'll receive this long punt by the Crusaders. He gets a blocker out in front of him, and here he comes to the outside now, and you can see that his head is up. He looks downfield, looks for his setup blockers as they set up the wall for him right in front of his teammates. Some great blocking right there. By now, Yoakum has up a full head of steam, and he's down to the sidelines. He'll run right through the final defender's tackle effort right there, and he's on into the end zone.
And down in front of us here at the Silverdome, the Catholic Central fans cheering their approval. CC is out front of King 14-0 midway through quarter number 2. I'll tell you, Bill, I think we got a lot of fireworks ahead, though.
Well, I think we do, too, as the Crusader offense really has not got on track so far. We know that Edward Davis is a threat every time he touches the ball. Mark, you've already given his yardage. 2,619 yards coming in. That's a career for most high school backs.
That's more than a career for most high school backs. The good ones get those kinds of numbers in their career. Catholic Central boots it away. Deep kick will be fielded back in the end zone and will come out to the 20-yard line. Javon Linhart caught it on about the 1, carried it on into the Silverdome end zone, and in high school football, that's a touchback. 1st and 10 for King. Marked the football right at the 20-yard line. Edward Davis has had a good football game, Bill. 5 carries, 39 yards right now. They've just not been able to get him the football enough. Dwight Brown to Davis. Pushes forward for about 4 yards out to about the 24. before a wall of blue tacklers converge on him. Last guy up from the bottom of the pile, Jeff Reese. Help there as well from Matt Roney, number 28.
Well, the Crusaders have started their offensive possessions, Mark, right at about their own 20-yard line. They've had it 3 times offensively, and they just have not been able to string together a number of first downs yet. They get 1 or 2, and then they seem to run into a stall. They're going to get untracked here pretty quick.
I formation behind Brown. Option to the right. This is Edward Davis trying to turn on the speed. Has 5 or 6 yards. He's near the first down sticks before he is knocked over. Tackled by Brett Walter, number 22, among others.
John Brand also over there, and believe me, when Edward Davis gets to the outside and you've got him on a one-on-one type situation, you got your hands full. Watch Edward Davis now come outside, and he is a threat. I'd be nervous in my shoes about right now. He's going to make the cut right here and come right up inside between 2 Catholic Central defenders. Number 10, John Brand, kind of grabs a hold of him up top, wrestles him down.
Larry Davenport, the fullback, dives it across the 30-yard line. 1st and 10 for King. 2 yards on the Davenport carry. Edward Davis runs a 4.440, Bill, but I'll tell you a number that will impress a lot of folks even more, particularly the college scouts, has a 3.3 grade point average. 1st and 10. There is Davis breaking tackles, finally gets 4 or 5 yards all on his own.
Well, I see Mike Thomas on the stop out here. But once again, Edward Davis with some power in that leg drive as well as that speed. He's 5'9" and 190 pounds, but he's got some great leg drive as we saw them warming up out here, Mark, before they even put their pads on him. He looks big just standing in his empty jersey out there.
2nd down and 6 for King. Clock is moving with 5:15 to play here, first half. Davis again up the middle, finds a seam, has the first down. 7 yards on the carry for Edward Davis. King running behind that big offensive line. Herbert Gibson, Don Walker, Jason Phillips, Michael Gray, Carl Eberhardt. 6'3", 245 pounds, the average up front for King. And it's 1st and 10. King at their own 42-yard line. Dive back. Larry Davenport again. Has about 3 out to the 45. That's an important play, Bill, because it keeps the defense honest.
Well, you have to keep probing up there in the middle, or the defenses will load up to the outside. Linebackers will cheat a little bit to the outside. Your cornerbacks will cheat up a little bit, and then the outside game won't go. But you keep probing that middle, pound it up inside, keep everybody honest. Then you get your breakaway back with a one-on-one situation to the outside. And, of course, the offense only has to win once or twice, and they got points on the board.
2nd down and about 7 facing King. Little movement early from King. It'll be 2nd down and more like 12. Well, you're right. Sooner or later, we're going to see Detroit King get that quick pitch to Edward Davis, and he's going to try and sweep the end and use that 4.4 speed.
Well, but as you mentioned, Mark, you have to be a threat up inside also, or people will just load up on you to the outside, and you can't break that one. So some good offensive play calling by the Crusaders.
Now, there's some hogs up front there for King or what? Those are some big boys. Edward Davis. Line of scrimmage, and not a whole lot more. Might have picked up a yard before Mike Thomas comes up and makes another good tackle for CC.
Boy, Mike Thomas has really come into this ball game to do some work. 3 or 4 plays in a row now, it's been Mike Thomas that has just come up and put the hammer on the offensive ball carrier, doing a great job defensively.
I hate to jinx him, but perhaps the most impressive thing about Detroit King this year, 276 rushes in the regular season, fumbled only once. Dwight Brown back to throw on 3rd and 10. Pressure coming. Good athletic move to buy himself a little time, but he's drilled.
Oh!
Brian Chaney with the hit as Dwight Brown just ran out of room.
Oh, my. Mark, this one's going to loosen your teeth a little bit here. Watch Dwight Brown now reverses his direction. I think in just a moment he's going to wish he had not. You'll see Brian Chaney come into your picture here and put his shoulder pad just right in the chest. Oh, my, what a great hit. Woo!
Punt time for King. Low wobbly liner will bounce all the way back inside the 40. This is Yoakum again, returned the last one for a TD. This time he's knocked out of bounds in front of the bench at his own 45-yard line. 2.5 minutes still to play here first half. And perhaps a surprise as you look at the score. Catholic Central leads King 14-0.
Well, that was some smashing defense that we saw the last few plays by Catholic Central. Holy moly.
Jason Carr, the quarterback, leads them up. This is the very familiar Arshawn Stewart, who has it to the midfield stripe. Driven down after a gain of about 4. It'll be 2nd and 6 as the clock continues to move.
Well, Arshawn Stewart has been the workhorse offensively, but this game really dominated by defense so far as the hitting is concerned, Mark. I don't think I want to be a ball carrier in this game for either side.
Well, when you think about how big some of these young men are who are sticking folks, too. We said, what, 40 players dressed today at better than 200 pounds? There are some big folks, and there are some big hits down on the floor here at the Silverdome today. 2nd down 6, Catholic Central. Arshawn Stewart again. Crosses into King territory, is knocked out of bounds. Going to depend on the mark. He may have the first down. Looks like he will. They've marked it down near the 43. The sticks are at the 44.
Well, Arshawn Stewart gets around the corner. You can see right there as he steps out just enough to get the first down. They may bring the chains across here and measure this one, but from our vantage point, it looked like a first down. We'll have to see.
Arshawn Stewart, 16 carries here in the first half. 1:59 showing on the big clock here at the Silverdome. Still to play first half, 14-0 CC. And Bill, real quickly, a coaching question for you. Maybe you can probe the mind of Tom Mack, the 15th year head coach at Catholic Central. You've got the football now, first down at the 44 of King. You're already ahead 14-0. You going to take a chance and throw the ball a little bit or not?
Well, I think you do. I think you keep the defense off balance, and I don't think you slow your team down at all. Catholic Central has the momentum right now, and they have a lot of offensive weapons. And with just a minute 59 left now in this first half, you don't take any of those weapons out of your hands. You go ahead, keep the confidence rolling, go with it.
Arshawn Stewart again left, and the defense is waiting. No gain. I don't know, maybe a yard. Corey McCullough, number 57, the 205-pound senior linebacker, first there on the tackle. It'll be 2nd and long.
Well, the Shamrocks content to run the ball. Down to a minute 35 now left in this first half, but I still would not be surprised at all to see Jason Carr step back, find a receiver deep and try to hit him.
Well, they were willing to try a 35-yard field goal earlier, so they've got a leg on the staff somewhere. This is Arshawn Stewart again. And good power run by Arshawn Stewart, the senior running back for Catholic Central. Damon Perry was carried for 2 or 3 yards. Going to be down inside the 40 to the 39-yard line. It'll be 3rd and still about 5.
Well, Arshawn Stewart, once again, carrying the ball. He's going to be a tired young man by the end of the half. He's going to have a full game's worth of carries, Mark, before we go into the locker room here.
Clock continues to roll, now showing just 45 seconds to play first half. 3rd down 5, facing Catholic Central. Carr gives off to the power guy, John Barbara. He doesn't pick up the first down. Manages to gain 2 or 3 yards. It'll be 4th down and still a couple. with about half a minute to play. And neither team shows any interest in stopping it. So 4th down and 2 or 3. Catholic Central leaves the offense on the field. They're willing to go for it here. 10 seconds left. I think they'll have to snap it before the half. And they do. Arshawn Stewart to the right has the first down. Clock is stopped by the officials long enough to measure or move the chains, one or the other. There are only 2 ticks showing, and we're going to measure. Gain was about 4 for Arshawn Stewart. 19 first half carries for Arshawn Stewart.
Well, as we just mentioned many times, that's a whole ball game for an offensive back. Arshawn Stewart, the workhorse, he's done most of the ball carrying, pounding up in there with him, John Barbara, but John Barbara ended up with the touchdown, but Arshawn Stewart's been the guy that's getting the ball about 90% of the time.
Boy, they are just short. The officials had to look that one over 4 or 5 times. Just short. The ball will go over. 2 seconds left. First half, and King takes over. 1st and 10 at their own 34. Looked like the Catholic Central players had informed the officials they wanted a timeout if they got the football. King says the same thing. We want a timeout now since we have the football. 2 seconds left. Detroit King will have time to run one play, and I guess, Bill, this is the spot where you probably have worked all year long on some kind of a little specialty play, and you use it right here.
Well, kind of a strange turn as we watch the clock tick down starting at about the 30-second mark. Neither team really showing that they wanted to stop the clock. It looked as though the 2 teams would be content to just go in at halftime with Catholic Central in their 14-point lead. Now, all of a sudden, with a change of possession, the Crusaders decide, well, we got one more shot at it here. Let's call a timeout. Let's set it up and see what we can do. Obviously, the Shamrocks of Catholic Central defensively, they know that the Crusaders have just one play left in this first half, so I'm sure they're going to sit back. They're going to take no chances at all letting anybody get deep.
Well, and you can see defensively, one player for Catholic Central is a good 35 yards back off the line of scrimmage right now. Here we go, last play of the first half. Dwight Brown gives off Edward Davis, and Davis has about 8 or 9 yards up the middle. And we have reached the half. Catholic Central, a surprise, out front by 2 TDs, 14-0.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we direct your attention to the 50-yard line, where Larry Thomas, Executive Vice President of Farm Bureau Insurance, and Jack Roberts, Executive Director of the Michigan High School Athletic Association, will make a special presentation. The Michigan High School Athletic Association Scholar Athlete Award, sponsored by Farm Bureau Insurance, honors the top male and female student athletes in the state during the fall, winter, and spring sports seasons. The top male and female athlete each receive a $1,000 scholarship to be used at a Michigan Institute of Higher Learning. Today we are honoring the fall scholarship recipients. The female recipient is Pamela Carroll of Harper Woods Regina High School. The male scholar recipient is Dale Rakoff of Gaylord High School. Congratulations to Pamela Carroll and Dale Rakoff, the winners of the Fall Scholar Athlete Award.
Detroit Martin Luther King Jr. Senior High School is proud to represent the Detroit Public Schools. King is cheered on to victory by our Outstanding Cheer Team, captained by Kerry Alexander and co-captain Junior Winnie Greer. Let's hear it, cheerleaders. Spectacular halftime show features the marching band, cheer team, pom-pom team, majorettes, flag corps, and dance company, along with the choir. The Performing Arts Department is under the auspices of Miss Denise Darcell Davis. Our Crusader football team is returning to the Silver Dome for our second consecutive year. If you can, just sit back, relax, and enjoy the Crusaders in action. production of Mr. Barry Greer. This has been an MLK production.
Ladies and gentlemen, introducing under the direction of Mr. Greg Normandin, led on the field by Drum Major Mark Sorzinski, the Catholic Central Marching Band. In today's halftime show, the band features classics from the cartoon world. We begin with Bedrock's favorite family, the Flintstones. We complete our show by featuring a percussion drill routine and a dazzling drum section and a solo written by senior Andy DeShences and the Jetsons. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for the Catholic Central Shamrocks Marching Band and the drum major, Mark Szerzinski.
Redford Catholic Central will boot it away to start our second half. Football will one hop to Gregory Scott of King. He's across the 30, and Scott to the 40, still on his feet, trying to turn the corner and gets it out to midfield where he's knocked out of bounds. Big return by Gregory Scott, and King is in business, 1st and 10.
Well, the stop will be made by Brett Walter over on the sidelines, but not before a great run back by Gregory Scott. Reverses directions a number of times, finally gets loose, then heads for the sidelines and could not outrun the defender. But good field position to start this first possession for the Crusaders.
Dwight Brown is still your quarterback. And there's the threat, number 25, Edward Davis. Has 6 or 7 yards, carries it down into Catholic Central territory. Marked at the 43-yard line where it'll be 2nd down and about 2. 8 yards on the carry for Edward Davis. He had 11 carries, 69 yards in the first half. Sounds like a pretty good half, but most clubs this year would have been very happy if they could have stopped Mr. Davis at 69 yards and a half. There's the fullback, 1st down for Larry Davenport.
Well, Larry Davenport is the complement for Edward Davis. And Davenport is the guy that's going to pound it right up the middle, and he picks up some good yardage again, keeping that Catholic Central defense honest. Things are going to open up. You just wait for the Crusader offense to explode. They have been so potent this year, averaging 32 points a ball game, and they've been shut out so far in this one. They're ready to go.
Brown on the little counter to Davis. Still on his feet, has 8 or 9 yards down to the 30. Almost broke that one.
Oh, Edward Davis could see the open field out in front of him. He takes the ball and comes inside, splits the defense on the inside run, breaks to the outside. You'll see John Brand has him around the legs, but he can see the open field out there in front of him, and he just drags Mr. Brand for a while, pounds the turf and says, oh, I could have broken just one more tackle.
2nd down, Davis again. Has the first. Looks to be down to the 28-yard line where it's 1st and 10 for the Crusaders of King. Catholic Central 14, King nothing. The 2 CC touchdowns, a 2-yard TD run by John Barbara. That capped off a long drive, 14 plays, about 70 yards, and then a 59-yard punt return for a TD by Frank Yoakum. That's where we stood at the half, and we are very early second half with King on the march, 1st and 10. Senior quarterback Brown, looking pass, tipped up in the air, incomplete. Almost a diving interception, but incomplete, say the Zebras.
Well, this play is going to be broken up right at the line of scrimmage, as you'll see a defensive hand come up and slap the ball. Now it's up in the air, and just a matter of how quick can another defender get there. Nobody able to get their hands underneath before the ball hits the turf.
Looked like Dan Gussoff, the nose tackle, the man who got a hand on the football. That's the dive back, Larry Davenport. Gets the power yards up the middle. Carries down to the 23, gain of about 5. It'll be 3rd and 5 for King.
Well, a big 3rd down play now for the Crusaders. They have smartly taken the opening kickoff of this second half. Got a great return to get themselves started at great field position, and now move the ball from about the 50 down to the 23-yard line. They need to keep this drive alive, build a little momentum, keep that Shamrock offense over on the sidelines a little longer.
Long count. They'll fake to Davis. Brown on the bootleg. 1st down. Carries down to the 15-yard line. 1st and 10, the naked bootleg by Dwight Brown.
Oh, what a neat-looking play here as the entire Catholic Central defense really goes with the flow. Dwight Brown hikes the ball on his hip, gets over, turns the corner, sees the down marker over there, knows just how far he has to get, cuts back inside right here and avoids the tackle, picks up the first down. Key play for the Crusaders.
Power I formation this time. There's Edward Davis left side, stacked up as a flag goes down. Gain of about 3 on the carry, but let's wait and see what the call is. Tossed in where normally you're going to get a holding.
Well, exactly, and just what the Crusaders don't need, as in the first half, they had a couple of small penalties that really were key as far as stopping offensive drives. That's what it's going to be, Mark. The Crusaders are going to lose some yardage. They're going to move back down here in this key territory. You don't want to give up those extra yards.
Bill, we ought to mention one of the highlights of this state championship weekend. At the half of this football game is 2 young athletes who excel in the classroom, in sports, and in leadership capacities were given the Scholar Athlete Award by the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Our congratulations to Pamela Carroll of Harper Woods and Dale Rekoff of Gaylord. $1,000 scholarships for those two, courtesy of Farm Bureau. Make it first down and about 22. Back to throw is Brown. Guns it over the middle. Picked off. Mike Thomas on the interception across the 30. Takes it out near midfield. And Catholic Central in business. Late flag is tossed in. But Catholic Central on the turnover has turned away Detroit King.
Well, it's been very interesting, Mark. Whenever the Crusaders have been forced to throw the ball, their offense has really been stymied. Catholic Central has been able to sack the quarterback a couple of times, and now in a pass play, they make the big interception just as the Crusaders get themselves down deep into Catholic Central territory. You'll see Mike Thomas there intercept the ball. He brings it back. We're going to get a penalty tacked on the end of the play against Catholic Central, a clip, but they get the ball. That's the important thing, and they'll start on the 34-yard line. There you'll see the clip right there. Great shot of it as our officials right on the spot once again. Catholic Central with the ball.
First possession for CC in the second half. There's the big guy, Barbara. Has a yard or 2 before Clarence Thompson from his defensive back spot, the sophomore. Comes up, makes the hit. Gain is only about 2. It'll be second down and 8. The important thing, just as you mentioned, Bill, CC managed to turn King away. No points on the board. It's still 14-0. Great drive by Detroit Martin Luther King. They hurt themselves with the penalty, just as they did several times in the first half.
And as we've mentioned, in the first half, the Crusaders were only given 4 possessions of the ball. And if that continues in this second half, they have used up one of those possessions. And as you mentioned, Mark, no points on the board down there when they had some great field position, just could not convert.
Carr's pass for Mike Grimes just out over the outstretched fingertips. Falls incomplete. And it'll be third down and 8. Clock shows 8:05, still to play third quarter from the Silverdome. Class AA state championship game between Catholic Central and King. 14-0 CC leads. Jason Carr runs option right, has Barbara and hits him. Plenty of room. Barbara bangs for the first down out near midfield.
Well, there's the big guy, John Barbara. We've talked about him. His detail is usually to run it inside, but once again, he becomes the pitch man. On the option, you see quarterback Jason Carr flip it out to him. Watch him lower the shoulder. He doesn't try to outrun anybody. He spots the defender, number 13, Clarence Thompson, and just says, I'm going to knock you over. Here I come.
Well, we mentioned in the first half, the young man was a linebacker last year, John Barbara. And they like offensively what he does for their team. When he runs the football, he's the guy delivering the hits. Straight ahead, smash mouth football player. And it's a 1st and 10 for CC. Mark the football at their own 49-yard line. Barbara's carried 5 times for 30 yards in this one. There he is again. Gets it to midfield and down into King territory. A yard or maybe 2. On the carry for Mr. Barbara. Bottom of the pile for King is Jason Phillips, number 54. Don Spencer was there as well, 54 and 55 on the tackle for King. Second down 8. Time for the King defense to do something here to help the offense.
Well, just what we described at the opening of this second half. The King defense needs to put the stopper on Catholic Central here. Catholic Central's been able to control the ball, control the clock, and obviously right now control the scoreboard.
Carr wants to throw. Pressure's coming. Out in the flats, incomplete. Intended for Frank Yoakum. Yoakum had a step or two on the King defender, but it'll be third down and about 8.
Well, Jason Carr gets pretty good protection here. Then the pocket collapses. He tries to hit Frank Yoakum. Yoakum's been his #1 target out there all day today. They're not able to connect. The ball goes incomplete.
Gerald McBurrows, the linebacker / strong safety on the coverage for King. It's third and 8. Catholic Central on these big plays, third and long, has gone to that option look with the Carr pitching to Barbara. And King has looked a little confused. I'm not sure if maybe King hasn't seen that before.
Well, we know that Coach James Reynolds has seen Catholic Central enough. He's played them once, and I think he said he's seen them 5 other times.
Oh, almost picked off. Great pressure put on that time by Javon Linhart. Forced Jason Carr to throw it a little early. And near the football was Charles Wade, number 66. Couldn't get his hands on it.
Well, there you see Javon Linhart, and he's got Jason Carr on the run. Carr with a player hanging on his back, still able to deliver the ball. And as you said, Mark, it was almost intercepted. And just what the Crusaders needed. They got the stop on Catholic Central. They're going to get the ball back.
Catholic Central calls a timeout with 6:50 still to play in the third quarter. They're looking at fourth down 8. And I am sure it is punt situation. You know, in the NFL, Bill, that's a sack. That's probably in the grass.
In the grass, exactly. And had that ball been intercepted, that might have been Jason Carr's thought to himself. I wish that would have been in the grass, but the ball fell incomplete anyway. Jason Carr able to deliver it and not get it intercepted.
Conclusion of this football game, our friend Norm Johnson, the athletic director from Bangor, will present the trophy to the winner of the Class AA state championship game, either Redford Catholic Central or Detroit King. Well, CC is out front 14-0 in punting.
I believe just the second punt for Catholic Central in the ball game.
Good high kick. Fair catch is called for by Thompson back at his own 10-yard line. And King will start with poor field position all the way back at their 10-yard line, trailing 14-0.
Well, after the Crusaders on their first possession of this second half had moved the ball down to about the 10-12-yard line, they were in great field position. Now, as they exchanged field position here, as Catholic Central punched the ball back to them, they had started with their first possession at the 49. Now they start at the 10.
First and 10, Dwight Brown leads them up, power I formation behind him. Give us to Davis, and he's forward for about 5 or 6 yards. It'll be second down and perhaps 4. You know, I doubt that King is going to be shut out here, but I wonder how long it has been since a Jim Reynolds club has been shut out. We know they were 12-0 coming to the Dome here last year. They were in the playoffs the year before. It's been a while.
It's been a while. They have been a scoring machine.
Second down. Facing King. Back to throw is Brown. Scrambles around in the pocket. Finally runs into his own fullback, Larry Davenport. After a gain of 2 or 3, it'll be third and short.
Well, the passing game really for the Crusaders has been non-existent. They have just had all kinds of trouble. Dwight Brown has had pressure all day long, has thrown an interception. This time he elects to bring the ball back down and find some room himself. He's a very effective runner, but runs right into his own player this time and is knocked down.
Dwight Brown turned to the right and saw familiar number 17, Brian Cheney, who delivered the big hit earlier in the game on Brown, and said, I want nothing of this. Left side, Edward Davis hit in the backfield. might get to the line of scrimmage, but it's 4th down and punt time for King.
Well, Matt Roney is going to be outside defensively, right where he belongs, along with his teammate Dave Dominic over there. And once Edward Davis gets to the outside, there's just no place to go, as they chose to run the option into the short side of the field that time. And it'll be the Crusaders' turn to punt.
4th down, about 3, and back deep in their own territory at the 17-yard line. No choice but to punt. Gregory Scott will stand at his own 4. Jason Phillips, the good snap, and a nice kick by Scott. Fielded by Vasillo, and he's going backwards.
Well, some great punt coverage that time by the Crusaders as they punt from deep in their own end of the field. They force the Shamrocks back, and they'll have a little ways to go. But once again, key now, as the Crusaders have had the ball for 2 possessions so far in this second half. They've been unable to move the ball into the end zone. First possession, they did pick up quite a bit of yardage, but still that big goose egg up on the scoreboard.
Well, and the other key you love to talk about, I hear you mention it all season long, is field position. And look where Catholic Central starts this drive, out near midfield. 1st and 10. Jason Carr has 2 backs, and this is Arshawn Stewart, but the whistles sound and the flags come down before the play. Arshawn Stewart, after 19 carries in the first half, has not carried yet here second half.
Well, one of the few mistakes by Catholic Central offensively is they get called for some illegal procedure. They'll get 5 yards marked off against them. It'll bring up a 1st and 15.
Arshawn Stewart was on a pace to be very close to the record for carries here in a championship game. It's 40. I don't remember who it was set by now, but looked it up at the half. 40 carries by Dan Leto from Crystal Falls Forest Park back in 1977. And Arshawn Stewart had 19 in the first half here of this ball game. 1st and 15, Catholic Central at their own 41. Carr will throw. Has a man breaking open, incomplete. Frank Yoakum tried to make the diving catch.
And Yoakum asking for a little help from the officials over there. A little bit of pleading, little acting there. Hey, help me out here a little bit. But the ball goes incomplete. Nice pass by Jason Carr as he tries to hit Yoakum over on the sidelines. Yoakum pinched there between the defender and the sidelines. Can't quite catch up with the ball.
And looked like a very good, clean coverage over there by Ralph Gaines. 2nd down, 15 for Catholic Central. Clock shows 3:50 still to play 3rd quarter. Plenty of time for Detroit Martin Luther King. They trail 14-0. Carr wants to throw again. Pressure's coming. He throws it away. There's nobody near the football. And finally, there's a very late flag from one of the officials. He looked around, didn't see anybody close, and I think he may say grounding.
Well, Jack Davidson was downfield for the Shamrocks, about 20 yards away from where that ball was thrown. He was the only one within 30 yards of the ball. So we'll have to wait and see as the officials are going to converse a little bit here. The center of the field, they'll talk it over.
Well, Jason Phillips was coming like a freight train at Jason Carr, the quarterback. And they're going to wave the flag off, I think. Yep. You're watching Ed Folsom, the referee, but the official who tossed the flag came over, picked it up, waved it off, and there's the signal. No penalty.
Well,
3rd down, 15.
The fans on the Crusader side don't like that one very much.
Well, it's always difficult to judge intent. And there was a receiver who had gone through the area a second or two before the football arrived. He never turned around and never looked. The officials are still talking out near the football, but...
Well, I think they were trying to decide what the down situation is.
Now they were looking for an explanation, I think. Jim Reynolds Jr. asked for an explanation from a member of the crew, because they're talking about it on the far sideline and explaining things to him. 3rd down, 15, facing Catholic Central. I formation behind Carr. Draw play, Arshawn Stewart. And
there's some great defense as the obvious passing situation. Jason Carr elects to hand on the draw play, but the on-rushing Crusader defense, the whole line. Watch the defensive line surge here. We've talked about their size. They're all about 6'1", 210, 215 pounds. Boy, they just moved the Shamrock offensive line backwards. Some great defensive play there.
Corey McCullough, number 57, the guy who made the initial hit. The punt bounces down out of bounds at the 25-yard line. Well, Arshawn Stewart, after 19 first-half carries, gets his first carry of the second half and probably wishes he hadn't after that, huh?
Boy, he was met before he even got a chance to look forward.
Here comes King, their third possession of the second half. They moved the football smartly on their first possession of this half. All the way down to about the 15-20-yard line, made a mistake on a hold, and then threw an interception. They've not dented the end zone. They trail 14-0. Option left. Keeper by quarterback Dwight Brown has about 5 yards.
Well, Dwight Brown is a threat himself as a runner. He had his favorite pitch man out there running deep and looked like it could have broken open to the outside, but by the time the play developed, the quarterback was already in the grasp of a defender. Dwight Brown then unable to pitch the ball out there for Edward Davis.
Good gain of 5. It'll be 2nd down and 5 facing King. Football at their own 30-yard line. Movement on the line again. 5 yards against King.
Boy, this is the third time I believe we'd seen an offensive lineman moving before the snap of the ball. And these penalties, as far as yardage is concerned, Mark, really don't amount to a lot, but they certainly do have an effect as far as stopping offensive momentum is concerned, as the Crusaders are forced to go to a different type of a play now. It's 2nd and 10 rather than 2nd and 5. And when they've been forced to go to the long yardage plays, especially the pass plays, they've run into trouble.
2nd and long, and Brown will throw. Waits for somebody to come open. They don't. Finally throws it. It's complete. Flags come down, as I believe Dwight Brown was over the line of scrimmage when he threw it.
Well, we'll see Dwight Brown here retreat once again to pass. Good pressure defensively by the Shamrocks, and they forced Dwight Brown to run out of his protective pocket. He heads upfield and then finally decides he's going to throw the ball. Watch now as you'll see Dwight Brown. Here's his decision to move forward. He'll change his mind here again in just a second as he eludes a tackler right here. But he is just about to reach the line of scrimmage right about now. In fact, over the line of scrimmage. Boy, that's a loss of yardage. That's a loss of down. Once again, forced to pass the ball, the Crusaders run into trouble.
He was 3 or 4 yards across the line of scrimmage, and that signal means loss of down. So we will look now at 3rd down and 15 facing King. Still 2 minutes to play in this third quarter. 14-0 Catholic Central lead. Edward Davis moves into the slot now. See if they can find him downfield. This one's batted away by the Catholic Central defense. I think it was Gussoff again, the nose, number 32, that got a hand on the football.
Well, I thought I saw Brian Cheney in there, number 17. Let's take a look. Once again, quarterback Dwight Brown drops back, but he's got defenders right in his face all the time. And there you see Brian Cheney, number 17, leaping at the quarterback and is able to tip the ball.
Punt time again for King. Gregory Scott gets it away, fielded at the midfield stripe by Yoakum. He's got 10 yards, 12 yards on the return. Wrestled down by Clarence Thompson. And Catholic Central sees field position improve even further as they will start 1st and 10 now down at the 38 of King, leading 14-0. Final 90 seconds of quarter number 3.
And And what a key situation that is, as the Shamrocks start this half with possession at their own 34, then at their own 47, and now their third possession of this one, they're going to start at the Crusader 38-yard line.
Arshawn Stewart, maybe a yard off right side. A lot of wrestling going on in the pile. I'm not sure if somebody thinks a football is loose or not. Give Arshawn Stewart no gain as they mark the football at the same 38-yard line. It'll be 2nd and 10.
Well, the tackle down underneath made by Charles Wade, and I think the ball might have been a little loose under there. There were a lot of arms grabbing and pulling. The Crusaders obviously would love to strip the ball loose and get back the offensive team on the field.
Out in the flats, wide open, Jack Davidson down the sidelines and out of bounds at the 17. 1st and 10, Catholic Central. Nobody covering Jack Davidson.
Well, some great offensive pass routes here as Jack Davidson finds the open spot. Another receiver had come from the outside over there to where Davidson is right now and brought all the defenders with him as the Crusaders play a man-to-man defense. Somehow, Davidson did not get picked up that time. He was just wide open. Quarterback Jason Carr delivers the ball right on the money. And the Shamrocks right down, knocking on the door once again.
1st and 10, Catholic Central. Off left side, spinning and fighting for yardage, Arshawn Stewart has it down to the 15, perhaps the 14-yard line, gain of 3. It'll be 2nd and 7 as we see just 30 seconds still to play third quarter.
Well, the Shamrocks, great field position, as we've mentioned. They have a good field goal kicker. I think Kerry Savagan has hit 3 out of 4. Mark, that might be just in the regular season, but he's very effective and been effective from fairly long range.
2nd down 7 for the Shamrocks. They lead 14-0, trying to tack on another score. Right side, that's Barbara. Spins and drags tacklers inside the 10 and down near the 7. 1st down sticks are at the 7. They're going to mark him just inside the 8. It'll be 3rd down and less than 1.
Well, John Barbara doesn't even have to wear a number. You can tell just by the way he runs. He just powers up in there, takes people with him, spins, drives, leans forward, drags a few more people with him, dives forward. What a positive runner he is. What an impact as far as the offense is concerned.
Third quarter has come to an end here at the Silverdome. Catholic Central out front by 2 TDs and knocking on the door. Mark Crawford and Bill Brandell, we're pleased you're with us here at the Silverdome. You know, the coaching staff told us a little white lie, Bill. They said John Barber didn't have a spin move. Just showed us one.
He just showed us one right there. But he sure has those power moves.
Kind of a power spin, wasn't it?
Boy, I'll tell you. They are fun to watch as he pounds just up in the middle up there for the Shamrocks. He's able to keep that defense so honest. It's been fun to watch. And, of course, Arshawn Stewart, he was the guy that carried the ball, I think, 19 times, you said, in the first half, Mark. He hasn't had it a whole lot this second half, but once again, the Shamrock offense on the field for a long time, not only picking up yardage, but again, taking time off that clock. We're already into the fourth quarter.
14-0 is our score. It is 3rd down and about a foot facing Catholic Central down at the 8-yard line of Detroit Martin Luther King. The Catholic League champs taking on the City Public School League champs here for the Class AA state title, and fighting toward the end zone. John Barbara stopped inside the 1. It'll be 1st and goal.
Well, the Shamrocks will be extremely tough to stop from this position. Here comes John Barbara. Once again, look at the forward positive body drive. 2, 3 defenders hanging on him, and he's still able to go forward with the ball, reaches out with it, gets it inside the 1. Only about a half a yard now away from the goal line.
Tight splits. From the goal line, not much trouble at all. John Barbara just follows the offensive right side. From 1 yard out, the 215-pound senior has his second touchdown of this game, and Catholic Central has stretched the lead to 20-0.
Well, John Barbara will get the credit for the touchdown, but the guys up front scored that one. Gary Gergold, he was one of the tackles. He was hurt early in this. Don't know whether he was in right then or not. Bob Sylvester, Eric Wilkent, he was up there. He's the offensive center. We see the extra point is good. Now let's look at it again. Look at the hole right there created by the offensive line. And by the time any defensive contact is made at all, John Barbara's in the end zone.
11:30 still to play in this one. Catholic Central with a 3-touchdown lead. And the Crusaders now, Bill, can't just think about scoring. They've got to think about scoring fast.
Well, they do, and they've got to put together an offensive system that's going to be free of mistakes, Mark, so that they don't put themselves in those long yardage situations. That's what's killed them. They've just created a pattern for themselves. When they have it 1st and 10 and they move the ball with their running game, they've been very effective. But then they'll make a mistake, put themselves in a long yardage situation, and the Shamrocks have really been potent defensively when they have the Crusaders in that kind of a position.
Zavagin will boot it away for Catholic Central. Deep backs are Scott and Davis for King. And this one will bounce back to about the 1 where Scott will return. Good return for Scott, still on his feet, will finally get it out to about the 20.
Boy, when Scott tucked that one deep in his own end of the field, he was back about the 1 over near the sidelines. Could have stepped out of bounds very easily. Whoa, right there, but he turns upfield. Actually gets it back in pretty good shape.
Gregory Scott has been wanting to return the football. He's been frustrated that Catholic Central's booted it into the end zone a few times, and you saw the determination there from Gregory Scott. He was going to get that football and return it if there was any way possible. 1st and 10 from the 20 for King. Brown has a single setback, and he will throw. No, he won't. He'll lose 4 or 5 yards trying to turn it upfield. The blue jerseys were waiting for him. I spotted number 35 out there.
I saw number 32, Mark.
Gussoff and Kelly.
Right. That time, quarterback Dwight Brown changed his mind in a hurry as he got outside, just could not see an open receiver and decided to try to run the ball, but the defender's right there on top of him.
2nd down 14 facing King. 10:30 showing on the scoreboard clock here at the Dome. They trail by 3 touchdowns. I formation behind Brown. That's Davis. He's hit at the line of scrimmage and fights forward for a couple. Al Barbarich and Carl Kowalik on the stop for CC. It'll be 3rd down and still about 10. Been a story of small mistakes for King that have really cost them. They've been able to move the football on the ground, and then it's been a little mistake. A motion penalty or an offsides or a holding call that has forced them into the long yardage passing situations, and they've not been able to convert. 3rd and long. Brown will throw, can't find time, and he's sacked. Loss of a couple. It's 4th down and punt facing King.
Well, once again, the team defensive concept of Catholic Central, they just seem to have all the receivers covered. They seem to be able to stay home, do their job. Once again, you will see Dwight Brown decide to pull the ball back down and run the ball. And there's just no place for him to go, as the containment by Catholic Central on the quarterback just excellent.
Finally, the player who finished him off, very active, Dan Gussoff, number 32. Punt will be fielded near the midfield stripe again by Frank Yoakum, and he'll carry down to the 40. Great field position once again for CC. 1st and 10 from the 40 of King. Now thinking about just running out the final 9 minutes of clock. They lead 21-0. Been a very impressive performance by the Shamrocks.
Well, they have been almost letter perfect The last time they got the ball, they had it at the Crusader 38. Now they have it at the Crusader 40. And, of course, that last time they were able to punch it down and put the touchdown up on the scoreboard to give them the 21-point lead. And as you said, Mark, great field position now. That gives them all the weapons in their offense. They can do just about anything they want. They have the lead, and they have great field position.
Tight T formation behind Carr. Arshawn Stewart right side. Line of scrimmage if he's lucky. Not much there for Arshawn Stewart. Bill, I saw Jack Roberts, the executive director of the MHSAA, here in our booth a moment ago, and he and all of the staff with the High School Athletic Association to be congratulated on another great day of championships here at the Silverdome. 2 days this year as we expand to 8 classes, but everything run extremely well and been thoroughly enjoyable.
It's been a great 2 days. It really has. The football has been just magnificent. First time we've had 8 different classes in the state of Michigan for high school football, and as far as I'm concerned, very successful.
John Barbara carries for a couple of yards inside the 40 and up to maybe the 38.
Well, here's that power man again, number 11, John Barbara. Good line surge once again by Catholic Central as the position where the first defender is able to make contact with John Barbara is 2 or 3 yards downfield already. That just means excellent blocking up front. That forward wall for the Shamrocks has done just a particularly strong job today.
And you notice Barbara with both hands on the football is what CC doesn't want to do, is make a mistake and fumble. Arshawn Stewart takes it right side, loses a yard or 2, so the King defense holds, but what CC has managed to do is run another 2 or 3 minutes off the clock before punting it away.
Well, Jerome Adams on the stop that time, and Jerome Adams gets some penetration defensively. Just what you need to do on the power sweep. Get out there in front of those pulling guards and mess up the play.
Boy, a boomer this time, and that'll sail into the end zone. Kerry Zavagin got a little too much foot in that one. Drives it through the end zone, and King will bring it out to the 20 and start 1st and 10. There's 6:45 to play. With most clubs, you'd say this one's all over, but with the explosive Detroit King Crusaders, I'm not sure if it's quite finished yet.
Well, you hate to say it's over, but the long gainer type play has just not been there so far for the Crusaders, and of course, that's what they need now in this ballgame.
And it's going to get tougher as we move along, as Catholic Central will stretch the defense out. Edward Davis hit at the line of scrimmage and might have 2 or 3 yards. It'll be 2nd and still long.
Well, the Shamrock defense puts the stop there on the running game, but I think really that they would be content, Mark, to allow a few yards to be run. They're just not going to give the Crusaders the big gun. They're not going to give them the quick 6. They're going to keep everything in front of them. You can also count on those Shamrock down people just kind of teeing off. The quarterback, Dwight Brown, going to be running for his life if he drops back to pass.
2nd down 8. They fake to Davis, heave it over the middle. Nobody there other than a defender, intercepted by Brett Walter. And Walter returns it to the 35, is collared and taken out of bounds. Brett Walter, the junior defensive back, the interception for Catholic Central. And that might be the final nail in the coffin.
Well, Dwight Brown, once again, forced into the long passing situation. He delivers the ball, but not anywhere near his receiver. And Brett Walter makes the interception, brings the ball all the way back across the field into his teammates. He's going to end up being driven right into one of the assistant coaches or somebody right in the middle of his team here.
Jason Carr leads the offense back onto the field. Flags go down as Arshawn Stewart was moving forward as the ball was snapped. And as you've already mentioned once before, when Catholic Central picked up a penalty, mistakes have been few and far between by CC. They have played close to an error-free football game. That'll cost them 5.
Well, just a little motion penalty there, this time by Marshawn Stewart, as the ball was given to John Barbara, and he moved it straight ahead. He actually had about a 5-yard gain. That's going to be nullified. The ball's going to be marched back. We'll bring up a 1st and 15, but once again, a few more seconds tick off the clock, and that is a key right now as far as the Crusaders are concerned. They got to have the ball back.
Jason Carr with the double tight ends gives to Barbara. Forward for about the 5 yards that they lost by way of penalty. It'll be 2nd down and about 10.
And once again, Mr. Steady Eddie here, John Barbara takes the ball and just hammers up the middle. He's a very secure ball carrier as far as hanging on to the ball. Doesn't fumble very often. Always seems to pick up some positive yards. So I would imagine the Shamrocks will just keep handing it to him.
John Barbara, 10 carries, 51 yards, and a couple of touchdowns in this one. He only gained 556 yards in the regular season, and yet when it came time to pick the All-League and the All-City teams and the like, coaches from other teams said, I don't care who else makes the team, John Barbara's got to make the team.
Well, he's one of those players, again, that is more of a physical impact and a force to set up other people offensively than the actual yards that he gains himself. He's just always the threat inside, and that just does so much for your offense. Opens up so many other weapons.
Statistics almost never tell the whole story, do they?
Exactly right.
Well, you can see the story in the faces of some of the King fans there, as they have been stunned here by Catholic Central in the Class AA state championship game. 21-0, CC leads with 5:15 to play. Jason Carr gives it to Barbara, and that pile moves forward 2 or 3 yards before finally the stack of white jerseys drives number 11 backward.
Well, Catholic Central's defense once again has just dominated this ball game. If this score ends up just the way it is, Mark, they will have finished the season with 2 straight shutouts. The Saginaw team, a very powerful offensive team themselves, they were shut out 21-0 by the Shamrocks. And now, of course, the Crusaders, with that 32 points a game average coming into this one, everybody just saying it's just a matter of how many they score, not if they score. Boy, credit Catholic Central's defense.
Carr runs the option. Flags go down as Carr picks up a yard or 2. Flags came very, very well behind the play. We'll have to wait and see. We would be looking at 4th down and about 7 facing Catholic Central. Hold is the call against CC, and you would guess that King will turn that down and try and get the football back.
Well, I'm sure they are more interested in possession, Mark, just as you described, than they are yardage right now. So exactly, they'd like the down box to turn over. They are marking it off.
I'm surprised. We'll see 3rd down again. 3rd down and about 17 facing Catholic Central. Well, Ed Folsom, Dave Garrison, James Helgamo, John Breslin, Roger Small, the officials in this one, and they have called a great game again. We've seen some super officiating crews this weekend.
Well, everyone, we've seen all the games here at the Silverdome so far, Mark, in 2 days, and you're right, the officiating has been just superb.
3rd and long, Marshawn Stewart gets 2 or 3 before he is driven to the ground. Tackled by King's Gerald McBurrows, the very active 190-pound senior. Timeout is called by King to stop the clock with 3:55 to play. It'll bring up 4th down, and King will get it back. They trail 21-0 and need some real last-second lightning.
Well, they have to begin to use their timeouts now to keep that clock from ticking off those valuable seconds. It appears right now that they will get a chance with the ball. It's a 4th down situation and long, 4th and 15, 16 yards. So it will depend now just what the Shamrocks intend to do. I'm sure they'd like to pin the Crusaders deep down in their own end of the field. Be interesting now to see just what kind of strategy the Crusaders use? Will they try to block the punt, or will they try to put a return on?
Oh, Bill, I think they have to block the punt. Got to go after the punt here. Zavagan stands at midfield and stepping into the neutral zone. One of the King players trying to get a jump. Won't give him a first down. It'll still be 4th down. In fact, I guess I wouldn't be real surprised if CC doesn't turn down this penalty rather than take it any closer. Last time from about this spot on the field, Zavagan had too much leg and knocked it into the end zone, but they'll take the 5 yards.
Well, Zavagan
down to the 33.
Zavagan averages about 35 yards a kick, so obviously he has to let up on this one. Give it that pooch-style kick. Try to get it to bounce and drop at about the 1.
Knocks it out of bounds. It'll depend on the mark. The officials are walking it up from the 10. We'll slow down at the 19, and King will start 1st and 10 from their own 19. 3 minutes and 50 seconds to try and score 21 points. Whatever happens in this last 350 should not take away from what has been a great season for King. The Crusaders 12-0 coming in here and have done something that very few teams can say they have accomplished. Back-to-back years, the Crusaders have reached the state championship game in the largest class in Michigan. Dwight Brown has one back behind him. Gives off to that back, Edward Davis. Tries to beat a tackler to the outside and can't. Has 3 or 4 yards on the carry before John Brand takes him down. It'll be 2nd down and 7. They'll line up in the no-huddle offense now.
Well, Edward Davis has carried the ball a number of times, but really has been contained defensively by the Shamrocks quite well. No time has Edward Davis really broken for the long one.
Back and in trouble again is Dwight Brown. The sack. Celebrating is Jeff Reese, number 44. The loss will be all the way back to about the 18-yard line, where it'll be 3rd and 11. Edward Davis, Bill, to finish your thought, 18 carries, 99 yards. And when you have a guy who's averaging 217 yards a game, if you can stop him at 99, you're probably pretty happy. Option play. Davis will lose a couple.
Well, that's going to take away a few of those yards. Once again, Jeff Reese, defensively upfield. He gets a little help from a teammate in there, but Edward Davis, just no place to go.
You know, as effective as the Catholic Central defense was in the first half, in the second half, they have really smelled out the King offense.
Well, Dave Dominic is the other Catholic Central defender that's in there. He gets as much a part of that tackle as Jeff Reese did. Just great defense once again.
It is 4th and punt. 4th down and 16 facing the Crusaders. And as the clock rolls down near 2 minutes to play, it will be celebration time soon for Catholic Central. Good high boot by Gregory Scott. Fair catch is called for and made at about the 42-yard line by Frank Yoakum. And CC now will try and run out the clock. King has just 1 timeout remaining.
Well, we have mentioned a couple of times the Catholic Central defense, really the dominant factor as far as this game is concerned. We made that as one of our key situations at the beginning of this one, Mark. Would the Catholic Central defense be able to contain this high-powered offense for the Crusaders? And they have done even more than just contain it. They've kind of stuffed it as far as the scoreboard is concerned. They have been just super.
1st and 10 CC, the tight T formation. Arshawn Stewart, who has been the workhorse for the Shamrocks, gets the carry. Doesn't really get any yards at all. 26 carries for Arshawn Stewart. Has only 66 yards to show for all of those carries.
Well, the Shamrocks, I'm sure, are going to be content just to run the ball here and get those seconds off the clock. I'm not sure how many timeouts are left for the Crusaders.
1.
They have 1 left. They can stop it one more time.
Doesn't look like they intend to do that. Off right side, running room. On his horse and fumbling was Dan Gussoff, and the football is covered and stays with CC.
Well, the Shamrocks break the running play this time and pop it loose. We've got the ball being stripped by the defender. Really some good thinking defensively. And the Shamrocks able to get up and cover the ball. But the yardage, once again, is going to give the Shamrocks a first down, and they've got the ball down at about the 12-yard line.
There you see Gussoff on the carry. Fumbles and gets up and recovers. It'll be 1st and 10 for Catholic Central. Back and down on one knee goes Jason Carr. Less than a minute to play, and Catholic Central will have to run perhaps one more play off. And they will celebrate the school's 2nd state football championship.
Well, the Shamrock fans beginning to celebrate over here as they know this one is all over. Just a matter of letting the clock run down the last 30 seconds.
Good shot as you see Jason Carr step back, put the knee down. 20 seconds showing now, and the CC players will stretch out onto the field and celebrate. A state football championship, their 2nd crown. They won one in 1979 and had the 1990 Class AA state championship. Final score, Redford Detroit Catholic Central 21, King nothing.
Ladies and gentlemen, before the presentation of the championship trophies and medals, let's acknowledge these 2 fine teams for their achievements this year and their play today. At this time, we direct your attention to the field, where Mr. Norm Johnson, Athletic Director of Bangor High School, a member of the Michigan High School Athletic Association Representative Council, will make the trophy presentation to the 1990 Class AA runner-up, the Crusaders of Detroit Martin Luther King High School. Accepting the runner-up trophy is Coach James Reynolds. And now Mr. Johnson will present the Class AA Championship trophy to the Shamrocks of Redford Detroit Catholic Central. Accepting the championship trophy, Coach Tom Mack. Congratulations to Redford Detroit Catholic Central, the Michigan High School Athletic Association Class AA football champions for 1990.